Hi guys, so today we're going to look at the very sort of back to basics money management tips. Think of it a little bit as money management 101. You may already be amazing at this, and in that case you probably don't need this video, but for those of you who could use with a little bit of help and guidance on the best steps to take to manage your money, I thought this would be a really useful video. So it wouldn't be one of my videos if I didn't talk about creating a budget. I've said this so many times before, but if nothing else, creating a budget is so important. Knowing where every single pound comes from and where every single pound goes will make a huge difference to your money management. With my spreadsheet, it pretty much now goes 2 years in advance. It shows me every month what my balance will get to if I continue spending the way that I've budgeted for, and I am in love with it. I update my budget all the time, and it really just helps you get a grip on what you are doing with your life. So yeah, if you don't already have a budget, get one sorted. Now the second step is to track your net worth and your money goals. So whether that is paying off debt, whether that is saving for a deposit, a holiday, whatever it is, track your goals and track your net worth. It can be really eye-opening when you see the overall figures, and even more eye-opening when you see it change month on month. It might not seem like a necessary step, but I truly believe that actually seeing progress on whether it's a piece of paper or a spreadsheet like me, it can really sort of give you that extra motivation that you need to actually stick to your financial goals. The next thing you'll want to do is organize your savings and investments, because having everything in one account is just not the thing to do. Obviously, this will be completely individual to you, so I can't really sit here and tell you you need this account and that account, but as a general rule, you'll want to look at having short-term savings and long-term savings, you know, having an emergency fund that is just separate but easy access, and then having some other sort of savings that give you a lot more sort of interest, which is likely to be savings accounts that are locked. And then obviously investments, so things like ISAs and maxing out any other allowances that you might get. Again, tracking all of this is super important. So I have a list of all my accounts, what they are for, and how much is in them at any one given time. That made no sense, but you know what I mean. Sort of linked to that is sinking funds. So I never used to be a big fan of sinking funds, but I've recently become a fan of them because they actually really help me to keep my mind clear and really know that I'm putting aside for the things that I need to put aside in the sort of medium term. So for example, having a sinking fund for gifts. So I don't really separate it out into, for example, you know, birthday gifts and Christmas gifts and whatever else. I just have one sort of gifts fund, and then I have like a holiday fund where I know that this money in here is completely for my holiday if we're ever allowed to travel again, and things like that. So have a think about the things that you know you're going to spend money on. Is it MOT for your car? Whatever it is that you know you're going to spend money on, have a think about setting up sinking funds for that. For me, I just use Monzo pots for the majority of them. That's because I know that most of mine are very short term, so I'm not as bothered about the crappy interest rates. The majority of easy access funds have really bad interest rates, so you know, my proper sort of savings are in more harder to access accounts, but with the sinking funds, it's just Monzo pots. Next is organizing your debts, if you have any. But again, writing down a list of all your debts, who they are with, what the interest rates are, and trying to figure out whether there's any way that you can optimize them. So could you, for example, get a 0% interest card and move some of that high interest debt onto a 0% card? Could you get a loan to consolidate all your debts and have one payment? Obviously this only works if you can get a lower rate, but literally sitting down, going through your debts and trying to come up with a game plan. Also trying to figure out whether you can overpay and then just get it paid off quicker. That's really, really important, especially if you are sort of having to pay interest on that debt. Next is automating as much as possible. So there are a lot of things in my finances that I don't have to think about. You know, all of my bills are automatically paid via direct debit. My credit cards, for example, my Amex that I use to get my points, I've set that up to pay off in full when the balance is due, so that I incur 0 interest on any of my Amex points. I don't use my credit cards as a line of credit. I use them to actually get points that I can use for money off in places. So having that automated means that I'm never going to have to think about it or miss a payment and then incur a penalty. Doing the same with your savings and investments is also really, really important. And a great way of looking at this is that if, for example, you get a raise at work, just do a direct debit for the day you get paid for the difference in your pay. So essentially not allowing lifestyle inflation. You're not going to miss that money. You are used to living on your current wage, right? So unless you've been massively living above your means, which is really bad, most people will be living on their current salary, used to that. And instead of saying, oh, I've got an extra £200 a month to spend, just set up a direct debit and have that £200 a month go into your investments or savings, and you will thank me later. Next is to have an allocation method for any additional windfall income that comes your way. So whether it's birthday money, whether it's an unexpected refund, whatever it is, I've always had a method where I say if I get unexpected money, this is how I'm allocating it. So after tax, this is how much I have left, and then you've got, you know, 10% goes to something, 20% goes to whatever, 50% goes to something else. Figuring out your priorities and perhaps using some of it to top up your sinking funds, using some of it for savings. Obviously, if you have debt, probably the best way is to throw all of it at the debt. But once you get out of that debt sort of cycle, then just allocating it between your different goals is the best idea. Next is start investing. So this is probably the best thing you can do for yourself in terms of finances, even if it's little amounts to develop the habit, and even if it's just index funds because you don't have the confidence to choose individual stocks. If you are leaving your money in a savings account, it is essentially losing value. So whilst it's okay for your emergency fund because you want to be able to access it in an emergency without potentially losing money, with the low interest rates we currently have, anything you leave above and beyond that in a savings account is going to lose value due to the time value of money and inflation. So investing anything sort of above that in, even if it's in the safest investments possible, you should still beat inflation and actually have your money work for you. Hopefully this video has been useful for at least some of you, and let me know if you have any other tips that I haven't mentioned down in the comments below, because I'm always keen to hear people's finance tips. That's it for today, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.